Wincy Radio Studio, New York City. A woman walks through the door. She's 98 years old, gray hair pulled back in a bun, brown skin weathered by decades of sun and struggle. She moves slowly, carefully, leaning on a cane, but her eyes are sharp, determined. The receptionist looks up. "Can I help you?" "I have a story," the woman says. Her accent is thick, Spanish mixed with New York, decades of living in two languages. "About John Lennon, about something he did for me in 1975, something nobody knows." The receptionist blinks. "John Lennon?" "Yes, I kept it quiet for 40 years. But I'm old now, and I want people to know what kind of man he really was." 10 minutes later, she's sitting across from Michael Chen, the afternoon host. Microphone between them. Recording light on. "Thank you for coming in, Mrs. Martinez." Rosa Martinez. "Mrs. Martinez, you said you have a story about John Lennon?" "Yes, from 1975. March Times Square. I had a flower cart. I sold flowers on the corner of 47th and Broadway for 20 years. Every day. Rain, snow, heat. Didn't matter. I was there." Michael nods. Waits. Lets her tell it at her own pace. "My son, Miguel, he was in Vietnam. 1972. He was 19 years old. They sent him to fight. His platoon was ambushed. He was wounded, separated. The army sent me a telegram. Missing in action. Not dead, not alive, just missing." Rosa's hands shake slightly. She grips the edge of the table. "For 3 years I waited. I called everyone. The army, the Red Cross, politicians. Nobody could find him. Nobody could tell me if my son was alive or dead. I spent every dollar I had on private investigators, phone calls, anyone who said they could help. But nobody could." "That must have been devastating," Michael says quietly. "It was like living in hell. Every day I woke up not knowing. Every night I went to sleep praying, and every flower I sold I thought, maybe this dollar will help me find him. That's all I wanted, just to know." "Then what happened in 1975? Rosa takes a breath. Her eyes fill with tears, but she smiles. "March 12th, Wednesday afternoon. I was at my cart. It was cold. Not many people buying flowers. I was crying. I did that a lot. Cried when I thought nobody was looking. Then a man stopped. Tall, skinny, long hair, round glasses. He looked at my flowers. Then he looked at me. And he said, 'How much for all of them?' Michael leans forward. 'All of them? Every single flower.' I thought he was crazy. I said, 'What do you mean all of them?' He said, 'I want to buy everything. Every rose, every carnation, every daisy. Name your price.' I told him it would be over $300. That was a lot of money in 1975. He just pulled out his wallet, handed me cash. Then he said something that broke me. He said, 'Why are you crying?' Rosa wipes her eyes. Nobody had asked me that in 3 years. Nobody. People walked past my cart every day. Thousands of people. Nobody stopped to ask why an old woman was crying. But he did." "What did you tell him?" "I told him about Miguel, about the telegram, about the 3 years of not knowing, about how I sold flowers every day just to have money to keep looking. And he listened, really listened. Then he knelt down next to my cart and said, 'What's your name?' I said, 'Rosa.' He said, 'Rosa, I'm John, and I'm going to help you find your son.'" Michael's eyes widen. "He said that? Just like that?" "Just like that. I didn't know who he was. I'd heard the name John Lennon, the Beatles, but I didn't recognize him. I was too old, too tired, too focused on Miguel to care about celebrities. I just saw a man who said he would help me." "What did he do?" Rosa smiles. "He took my phone number, my address, Miguel's information, his unit, the last place he was seen, everything. Then he said, 'Give me a few weeks. I'm going to make some calls.' And he left. Took all the flowers with him. I watched him walk away carrying armfuls of roses and carnations. People stared, but he didn't care." "Did you hear from him again?" 3 days later he called, said he'd contacted someone at the Department of Defense, someone who owed him a favor. Said they were going to look into Miguel's case again, review the records." Michael is transfixed. And 2 weeks after that, he called again, said they'd found something. Miguel wasn't dead. He was in a military hospital in the Philippines. He'd been severely wounded, lost his memory, didn't know who he was. The army had him listed under John Doe. That's why nobody could find him. He had no identification, no tags, nothing. Rosa's voice breaks. My son was alive. For 3 years I thought he was dead, and John Lennon found him. Oh my God. John arranged everything. Medical transport, paperwork. He paid for it all. Wouldn't let me pay him back. Said, this is what I can do. This is my part. On May 3rd, 1975, my son came home. I met him at JFK Airport. He didn't remember me at first. The head injury. It took months of therapy. But slowly his memory came back, and he was home, alive. Michael is crying now, trying to stay professional. That's incredible. Why didn't you tell anyone? Why keep it secret for 40 years? Because John asked me to. When Miguel came home, John came to visit. Just once. Quiet, no cameras, no press. He sat with Miguel, talked to him, welcomed him home. Then he pulled me aside and said, Rosa, I need you to do something for me. Don't tell anyone I helped. This isn't about me. This is about your son. If people know I did this, they'll make it a story about me. And it's not. It's a story about Miguel coming home. So let's keep it between us, okay? I promised, and I kept that promise. Even after John died in 1980, I didn't say anything, because he'd asked me not to. So why tell the story now? Rosa looks directly into Michael's eyes. Because I'm 98 years old. Miguel is 62 now, has 3 kids, 7 grandkids, a good life. And none of that would exist if John Lennon hadn't stopped at a flower cart in 1975. People need to know, not for publicity, not for headlines, but because people think celebrities don't care. They think fame makes you selfish, distant. But John cared. He saw a crying old woman and he stopped. He listened. He helped. That's who he was. And the world should remember that. March 1975, Times Square, New York City. Rosa Martinez stood behind her flower cart. She was 58 years old, tired, broken. Every day for 3 years, she'd stood on this corner, selling flowers, crying, hoping. The telegram had come in August 1972, official, formal, cold. The Department of the Army regrets to inform you that your son, Private Miguel Martinez, is missing in action as of August 4th, 1972, in the Republic of Vietnam. Missing, not dead, not alive, just missing. Rosa had called everyone. The Army liaison officer, the Red Cross, her congressman, anyone who might know something, anything. We're doing everything we can, Mrs. Martinez. We'll let you know as soon as we have information. These things take time, but time was all she had, time and flowers, and hope that was slowly dying. March 12th, 1975, Wednesday, cold, gray, New York refusing to admit spring was coming. Rosa arranged her flowers, adjusted the prices, $2 for a single rose, $10 for a dozen, $15 for a mixed bouquet. Not many people stopped. It was too cold, too miserable. Everyone was in a hurry. Rosa didn't mind. She stood there because she had to, because selling flowers gave her something to do, somewhere to be, a reason to get out of bed. She was crying again, didn't realize it until she felt the tears on her face. 3 years, 1,095 days since the telegram, and still no answer. Excuse me. Rosa looked up. A man stood in front of her cart, tall, thin, long hair past his shoulders, round glasses, leather jacket, jeans. He looked like a musician, or an artist, or a hippie, one of thousands in New York. How much for all of them? He asked, British accent, soft, polite. What? All the flowers, every single one. How much? Rosa blinked. I don't understand. I want to buy everything, every rose, every carnation, every daisy, all of it. What would that cost? Rosa looked at her cart. She had maybe 200 flowers, roses, carnations, daisies, tulips. If she sold everything, about 320, maybe 330. The man pulled out his wallet, counted bills, handed her $350. Keep the change. Rosa stared at the money. Why would you do this? Because you look like you need someone to see you, and I'm looking at you. He smiled, gentle, kind. So tell me, why are you crying? Rosa's throat tightened. Nobody had asked her that. In 3 years. Nobody. My son, she whispered. He's been missing since 1972. Vietnam. The army says they can't find him. I don't know if he's alive or dead. And I sell flowers every day, and I pray that somehow, some way, someone will help me find him. The man's expression shifted. Pain, empathy, understanding. He knelt down next to her cart. Eye level. What's your name? Rosa. Rosa Martinez. Rosa, I'm John, and I'm going to help you find your son. You don't have to. I know I don't have to, but I'm going to, because I've spent years singing about peace, about ending war, about bringing people home. And that can't just be words, it has to be action. So tell me about Miguel. Tell me everything. Rosa told him about Miguel growing up in the Bronx, about him enlisting because he thought it was his duty, about the telegram in August 1972, about the 3 years of silence, about the investigators who found nothing, about the government officials who promised everything and delivered nothing. John listened, took notes on a napkin, asked questions, got details, Miguel's unit, last known location, date of the ambush, everything. When Rosa finished, John stood up. Give me your phone number, your address. I'm going to make some calls. I know people. People who might be able to access records the public can't see. Give me a few weeks, okay? Why are you doing this? Because I can, and you need help. That's enough. John loaded the flowers into a taxi. The driver looked confused. John just smiled. Long story. As the taxi pulled away, Rosa realized she didn't know his last name. Just John, a British man with round glasses who bought all her flowers and promised to find her son. 3 days later, her phone rang. Rosa, it's John, from the flower cart. Yes? I made some calls, got in touch with someone at the Department of Defense. They're going to review Miguel's case. Look through the records again. It might take a few weeks, but they're looking. I promise. Thank you. I don't know how to. You don't have to thank me. Just stay by the phone. I'll call as soon as I hear anything. 2 weeks later, he called again. Rosa, we found something. Rosa's heart stopped. What? Miguel's alive. He's in a military hospital in the Philippines. He was severely wounded in the ambush. Head trauma, lost his memory, didn't know who he was. They had him listed as John Doe. That's why nobody could find him. No ID, no tags, no records connecting him to his name. Rosa couldn't breathe. He's alive. He's alive. And I'm working on getting him home. Might take a few weeks to arrange transport, but he's coming home, Rosa. Your son is coming home. Rosa dropped the phone, fell to her knees, cried for the first time in 3 years, not from grief, but from relief. May 3rd, 1975. JFK Airport, international arrivals. Rosa stood behind the barrier, shaking, waiting. She'd been standing there for 2 hours. The flight was delayed. She didn't care. She would have waited 2 years if she had to. Then the doors opened. Passengers streamed out. Families reuniting. Business travelers. Tourists. And then she saw him. Miguel, her son, 22 years old now, thin, scarred, walking slowly with a cane, but alive. Rosa screamed, pushed through the barrier, ran to him, threw her arms around him, sobbed into his shoulder. Miguel looked confused. I'm sorry, do I know you? The doctor had warned her. The head trauma, the memory loss. It would take time. I'm your mother, Rosa whispered. I'm Rosa, and I've been looking for you for 3 years. And you're home now. You're home. Miguel's eyes filled with tears. Mom? Yes, yes, baby. I'm here. You're safe. They held each other in the middle of JFK Airport, crying, reconnecting, healing. 2 days later, John came to visit. He showed up at Rosa's apartment in the Bronx. No cameras, no press, just John, quiet, private. He sat with Miguel, talked to him, asked about his recovery, his memory, his plans. Miguel didn't know who John was, didn't recognize the face. The memory loss had erased 3 years of his life, including the Beatles' height of fame. John didn't care. He just welcomed him home, told him he was brave, told him he mattered. Before he left, John pulled Rosa aside. "Rosa, I need you to do something for me. Anything. Don't tell anyone I helped. This isn't about me. This is about Miguel. If people know, they'll make it a story about me. A Beatle saving a soldier, headlines, publicity. And that's not what this is. This is about your son coming home. So let's keep it between us. Okay?" Rosa hesitated. "But people should know what you did." "People know enough about me. Let them know about Miguel instead. Let them know he survived. Let them know he's home. That's the story that matters." Rosa nodded. "Okay, I promise." John smiled, hugged her. "Take care of him, and take care of yourself." He left, and Rosa kept her promise. For 40 years, the radio interview goes viral. Millions of views, comments flooding in. I'm crying. This is what John Lennon was really about. We need more people like this. News outlets pick up the story. Interview Rosa. Verify the details. Find the military records. Confirm everything. Miguel, now 62, speaks publicly for the first time. "I didn't know John Lennon found me until my mother told me this story. I have no memory of that time. But I know this. Without him, I might have died in that hospital. Anonymous, forgotten. John Lennon gave me my life back, gave my mother her son back, and I've spent the last 40 years trying to be worthy of that gift." December 8th, 2015, the 35th anniversary of John Lennon's death. Rosa Martinez, 98 years old, stands at Strawberry Fields in Central Park. The memorial to John, covered in flowers, candles, messages. She places a single rose, red, perfect. "Thank you, John, for stopping, for listening, for caring, for bringing my son home. You didn't just sing about peace, you made peace, one person at a time, one crying woman at a time, one lost soldier at a time. The world lost you too soon, but you live on, in Miguel, in his children, in his grandchildren, in every life you touched. Rest in peace, John, and know that you are remembered, not just for your music, but for your heart." Miguel Martinez is 72 years old now, living in New Jersey, retired, 3 children, 7 grandchildren, a full life. Every March 12th, he visits Times Square, stands on the corner of 47th and Broadway. Where his mother's flower cart used to be, he brings flowers, leaves them on the sidewalk, and remembers the man he never met, the Beatle who found him, the stranger who cared. John Lennon died on December 8, 1980, shot outside his home, murdered at 40 years old. But before he died, he saved a life, found a lost soldier, brought him home to his mother. He never told anyone, never used it for publicity, never made it about himself. Because that's who John was. Not just a musician, not just an activist, but a person who believed that peace isn't just a song or a slogan. It's action. It's stopping when someone's crying. It's listening when someone's hurting. It's helping when you have the means to help. Rosa Martinez kept John's secret for 40 years. Then she shared it. Not for fame, not for attention, but so the world would remember what John taught her. Good people exist. They stop when you need them. They listen when you hurt. They help when you ask. And sometimes they buy every flower from a street vendor, because that street vendor needs to be seen, needs to be heard, needs to know someone cares. John Lennon cared, and Miguel Martinez is alive because of it. That's the legacy. Not just imagine, not just give peace a chance, but action, help, love, one flower cart at a time.